I'm here to introduce this edition of the Merry Wives of Windsor, and also to make a case for why we should turn to reading and discussing this play. For me, Merry Wives is a slightly different model of a Shakespearean comedy, maybe different to some of the big hitter comedies. It's the only play in the Shakespeare canon that these days is named entirely after female characters. And it also upturns something else about the expected narrative. So this is a play that begins with marriage. Marriage happens before the play narrative even starts and makes possible its very conceit. It's a play essentially about two middle-aged housewives some way into married life. So this isn't the kind of As You Like It or Midsummer Night's Dream setup that we've got here. And in that, Shakespeare draws on inspiration from other dramatists from this period. People like John Lilly, Robert Greene, and a whole host of anonymous writers who brought the everyday settings, I guess, of 16th century England to life on the stage. This is the Favershams, the Wakefields, the Medways of the world. So Merry Wives is really a play about the families next door, but it also puts them into kind of global context through its various household items. It's a play that's built from and structured around achievable interior design decisions, which are much commented on in the play, life down the local hostelry, and well-timed laundry cycles. In other words, the rhythm of life. In terms of a bit of background of what the play actually is, it was probably written around 1597 as a kind of spin-off from the Henry IV plays that featured the very popular character of Sir John Falstaff, the ribald, fun-loving knight. There were many spurious accounts of why this play was commissioned. For instance, maybe Elizabeth I was such a fan of Falstaff that she needed Shakespeare to write a sequel at which he was at the centre. But it also fits a fashion for these kind of kitchen sink comedies. Falstaff himself is a fascinating, kind of excessive character. Some critics see him as amongst the most lively and enduring of Shakespeare's creations, but he's really upstaged and in some cases literally upturned here by the wives themselves. It's largely kind of their play. Falstaff is taken out and buttered, carried like butcher's offal, and eventually pinched all over in punishment. He turns up in Windsor with hopes of winning over the two married women in the title, Mistress Page and Mistress Ford, but they remain steadfastly honest, gentle, and full of credit in the language of the play. But along the way, we get plenty of insights into their own domestic tribulations and strained relationships. This is not a play that necessarily rests entirely on cliched or traditional romantic simplicity. And indeed, the ambiguous heterosexual marriage that ends the play is essentially accompanied by two failed gay marriages. I thought I'd just wrap up with a handful of very quick highlights for me of what I think we get when we spend some time in Shakespeare's Windsor. First among them is the play's homely but inventive language. Falstaff calls this the familiar style of Windsor, and it's got the highest prose content of all of Shakespeare's plays. I think it really demonstrates that everyday language and speech can be a devastating and inventive tool of wit. The play's gender politics are also fascinating and give a little glimpse of what life was like for so many women in Shakespeare's England and in his plays, but it also celebrates moments of independence and agency. The play is full of merriness and play in its kind of elastic sense, full of those forms that make up early modern entertainment. It has offstage bears and folk rituals, song and dance, which offer so many possibilities for performance then and now. I love the kind of neighbourliness and gossip that runs through Merry Wives of Windsor, which is part of the kind of moral regulation of its community. But it also gives insight into how we read or even misread other people's character through their clothes, their speech, their handwriting, or many other tiny material details. And lastly, for me, I think Merry Wives has this kind of continuing contemporary relevance. Recent productions like Jocelyn Bio's 2021 public theatre production have made from the rich and entertaining features I've just mentioned briefly in Merry Wives, productions that embrace the play's ongoing concern with contemporary life.